What if I told you that the most famous ancient wonder isn't what we think it is? In fact, the Great Pyramid of Giza might be hiding the biggest secret in human history. And wait until you see what they found behind that mysterious door with copper handles. Hi everyone! Today we're diving into something mind-blowing. The Great Pyramid of Giza. You've seen it in pictures, maybe even visited it. But here's the thing. It might be the oldest cover-up in history. 481 feet tall, 2.3 million stone blocks, built 4,500 years ago. Or was it? And stick around, because what scientists discovered about its alignment to the stars will completely change how you see ancient history. Let's talk about something that just doesn't add up. According to mainstream historians, ancient Egyptians built this massive structure in just 20 years. That means they had to place one 2.5-ton block every 3 minutes, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, for 2 decades straight. And they supposedly did this with copper tools and wooden rollers. But here's where it gets really weird. The granite blocks used in the king's chamber came from Aswan, 500 miles away. Each of these blocks weighs up to 80 tons. That's heavier than a space shuttle, equal to 13 adult elephants, the weight of 40 SUVs stacked on top of each other. And remember, they didn't have the wheel, no pulleys, no iron tools, just copper and wood. Even today, moving an 80-ton block requires multiple heavy-duty cranes, special reinforced transport vehicles, teams of engineering experts, months of planning. Let's do some quick math. Wooden rollers would collapse under 80 tons. Copper tools can't cut granite, it's harder than copper. The blocks are fitted with gaps smaller than a credit card. Speaking of precision, the Great Pyramid is aligned to true north with an accuracy of 3/60ths of a degree. To put this in perspective, it's more precisely aligned than the Greenwich Observatory. The accuracy is equivalent to being off by less than the width of a human hair. This precision remains unmatched even by most modern buildings. But here's the real mystery. The builders somehow managed to make the base perfectly level, with each side differing by only ½ an inch, across a surface area of 13 acres. That's like laying a giant glass table over 4 football fields and having it wobble less than the thickness of a penny. With all our modern technology, we'd struggle to achieve this level of precision today. It's mind-boggling to think this was done thousands of years ago. But if you think the construction is impossible to explain, wait until you see what they found inside. In the 1990s, researchers discovered something that changed everything. And what happened next seems straight out of a conspiracy thriller. Using a tiny robot called Upuaut, which means opener of the ways in ancient Egyptian, scientists found a mysterious shaft leading up from the Queen's chamber. But here's where it gets wild. About 200 feet up this narrow tunnel, they found something that wasn't supposed to be there. A limestone door with 2 copper handles. Think about that for a second. Who puts handles on a door they never intended anyone to find? The discovery made headlines worldwide. Scientists were ready to send up a new robot with ground-penetrating radar to see what was behind it. But suddenly, Egyptian authorities shut down the entire project. But that's not even the craziest part. In 2017, scientists using thermal imaging discovered something else. Void spaces inside the pyramid that shouldn't exist. One of them is massive, big enough to fit a passenger jet inside. This huge cavity sits right above the Grand Gallery in an area that's supposedly just solid stone. But here's the kicker. It's precisely positioned and perfectly shaped. Length, at least 100 feet. Height, similar to Grand Gallery. Purpose, complete mystery. What could ancient builders have possibly needed with a hidden chamber this massive? And why are authorities so resistant to investigating further? And if you think that's strange, wait until you see how these chambers line up with something much bigger. In the stars. Remember that perfect alignment I mentioned earlier? Well, what I'm about to show you will make that look like child's play. The 3 pyramids of Giza don't just randomly sit in the desert. They're actually a perfect map of the stars, built at a scale so massive it can only be seen from space. Watch this. When we overlay Orion's belt onto the pyramids, something incredible happens. The three stars of Orion's belt and the three main pyramids, the correlation is precise to within 0.1%. But here's the mind-bending part. The pyramids don't match how Orion's belt looks today. They match how it looked 10,500 years ago. Due to a phenomenon called precession, stars appear to shift position over thousands of years. The builders didn't just copy what they saw in the sky, they built a monument to show where the stars used to be. And it gets even stranger. Check this out. Teotihuacan pyramids in Mexico, Xianyang pyramids in China, and Angkor Wat temples in Cambodia. They all align with Orion's belt configuration. The odds of this happening by chance are astronomically small. We're looking at mathematical precision across continents. But the star alignment is just the beginning. The Great Pyramid has four shafts pointing to specific stars. The northern shaft points to Alpha Draconis, the North Star in 2500 BC. The southern shaft aligns with Sirius, the brightest star in our sky. The Queen's Chamber shafts target Orion's belt and Sirius at their highest point. These aren't rough alignments, they're precise to within 0.15 degrees. Now, here's something that will blow your mind. Scientists recently discovered that these shafts form a three-dimensional star map inside the pyramid. But not just any map. They create exact angles that match the golden ratio, 1.618, the precession of the equinoxes, 25,700-year cycle, and the speed of light when measured in pyramid inches. And we're finding similar star maps hidden in ancient sites worldwide, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Nabta Playa in Egypt, and Stonehenge in England. But the biggest mystery isn't what they were pointing at, it's why. These builders weren't just creating monuments, they were leaving us a message, encoded in the universal language of mathematics and astronomy. And when you understand what that message says about our true history, well, that's where things get really interesting. Just when you thought the star alignments were incredible, wait until you see what's hidden in the numbers. The Great Pyramid isn't just big, it's precisely engineered to mathematical constants that weren't supposedly discovered until thousands of years later. Let's start with something mind-blowing. The pyramid's base perimeter divided by its height equals exactly 2 times pi. This means they encoded pi into the pyramid's very shape, 2,000 years before mathematicians supposedly discovered it. But that's just the beginning. Watch what happens when we look at the pyramid's dimensions. Height 481.4 feet, base 756 feet, slope angle 51.5 degrees. If we multiply these numbers by certain sacred numbers like 43,200, we get the exact polar radius of Earth, the exact distance from Earth to Sun, and the precise speed of light in vacuum. These correlations are so precise they can't be coincidence. We're looking at advanced mathematical knowledge that shouldn't have existed. Now here's where it gets really weird. The Great Pyramid perfectly embodies the golden ratio, phi equals 1.618. In its facial angles, in its interior chambers, even in its weight ratios, the pyramid contains the square root of 2, the square root of 3, the square root of 5, and the Fibonacci sequence, all encoded in its proportions. But here's the most shocking part. The pyramid sits at the exact center of Earth's land mass, dividing continents perfectly. Its location at 29.9792458 degrees north exactly matches the speed of light, 299,792,458 meters per second. The odds of this being coincidence are essentially zero. We're looking at knowledge that shouldn't have been possible, and it gets even more precise. The pyramid's internal chambers encode the exact dimensions of Earth, the precise length of the solar year, the acceleration of gravity, and even the exact weight ratio of Earth to Moon. Every single major measurement in the pyramid is a multiple of 365.242 days in solar year, 27.32 days in lunar month, and 25,920 years in precession cycle. But the real question isn't how they knew these numbers, it's why they built an enormous monument to encode them. Unless this wasn't just a monument, unless all these numbers weren't just measurements, unless they were trying to tell us something about the pyramid's true purpose. Because when you understand what happens when you combine these precise mathematical ratios with the pyramid's unique shape, you'll realize this might be the most important discovery in human history. Everything we've covered so far, the precise construction, star alignments, and mathematical codes, they all point to one mind-blowing possibility. The Great Pyramid might be the most powerful machine ever built. In the 1980s, researcher Joe Parr made a discovery that changed everything. Using scale models of the Great Pyramid, he detected something extraordinary. When properly aligned, pyramids generate an invisible energy field that blocks electromagnetic radiation, creates measurable anti-gravity effects, and alters the flow of time itself. But here's the crazy part. Russian scientists repeated these experiments and found that the pyramid shape concentrates electromagnetic energy, creates a focused beam at its peak, and can even charge capacitors without any power source. Recent studies using thermal scanning revealed the pyramid maintains a constant internal temperature, generates unexplained heat spots, and creates electromagnetic anomalies that affect measuring equipment. Now watch this. When researchers placed pyramids in a particle accelerator, energy formed in geometric patterns, torsion fields appeared, and time measurements became distorted. We're seeing effects that shouldn't be possible with just stone blocks. The pyramid is clearly interacting with energy in ways we don't understand. But the biggest breakthrough came in 2022. Scientists discovered that the pyramid's internal chambers are perfect resonant cavities, exactly tuned to Earth's natural frequency, the speed of light, and the frequency of human consciousness. The entire structure acts like a giant energy amplifier, frequency generator, and electromagnetic lens. And remember those mysterious shafts? They're lined with granite containing high amounts of quartz crystals, rare earth elements, and naturally conductive minerals. When combined with the pyramid's precise angles, its mathematical ratios, its geographic location, and the materials used, it creates what scientists call a quantum vacuum oscillator. In other words, the ancient Egyptians might have built a device capable of generating unlimited energy, manipulating gravitational fields, and even altering the fabric of space-time itself. Think about it. We can't replicate its precision today. We don't understand how it was built. We're just beginning to grasp its true capabilities. What if the Great Pyramid isn't just a tomb? What if it's the key to technology we lost thousands of years ago? And what if we're finally ready to unlock its secrets? If this blew your mind, hit the like button and share to spread the truth. Leave a comment with your theories. Subscribe and join our investigation into the mysteries of history. And don't forget to check out our next video, The Truth About Leonardo da Vinci's Genius, What You Didn't Know.